Hello everybody, my name is TheTfboy, and ignore this, it's just like a placeholder image that I had when working on another project, but we're going to be checking out my personal top 10 Grand Tournament cards in the upcoming patch. So, let's just get right into it. So, let's see, here we go. Number 10 for me is Dreadseed. Now this list may be a little bit biased because I do like a control style and I do like Warrior the most. So, maybe a little biased for that, but Dreadseed, I just like the concept of this card. Like, in addition to have infinite value, yeah, it has poor stats, but one thing to note is that, unless your opponent has a silence, you will always have, like, a power overwhelming target to use. So, you know, and there are plenty of annoying 5/5s on the... There are plenty of annoying, 5 health minions that you could easily use this on with power overwhelming, like Thorison, Sylvanas. I paused for a second because I'm wondering which Death Rattle triggers first. I guess actually Sylvanas isn't a good idea because if you play Dreadsteed, then your opponent plays Sylvanas or something, Dreadsteed's Death Rattle will trigger first, so Sylvanas will take it, but meh. You know, you got Thorison, you got Lothab, all that, well, whatever. The point is, it does provide infinite value. Now, the interesting thing is that combine this card with, say, Baron Rivendare, and on turn 10, you could do Dreadsteed, Baron Rivendare, double Mortal Coil on the Dreadsteed, and what you end up with is 4 Dreadsteeds, and you drew 2 cards, along with Baron Rivendare, of course. That is quite annoying to deal with, and it's 4 consistent damage every turn. Obviously, its major weakness is like Mass Dispel with Priest, but I like it. I like it a lot. I think 4 mana is fine. I think it's pretty great. 5 would be way too much. 3 would be a little on the overpowered side, so yeah. Chillmaw. Actually like this card. Like, if I open this in a pack, I'm probably gonna build a sort of dragon themed deck. The type of decks I'm gonna try out is depending on what I open in the packs. I've got a few cards that I want to craft, regardless. But this is something I will try if I get. I do like this card because even without the initial benefit, it's still okay. Like a 7 mana 6/6 taunt is fine. It's not amazing, but it's reasonable. It's not. You're not losing value. You're not losing tempo, if at all. And the Death Rattle is pretty strong. That being said, this is more of an anti-aggro Death Rattle, so at best it's probably going to be a 7 mana 6/6 taunt if the meta does slow down. But if it does try to speed back up, this is a great card to put in like dragon decks. Like, it just helps clear the board. It prevents also things like Druid from doing like Force to Nature, Savage Roar, because obviously if they have to get through this, they have to trade, and anything else, any other trends just die. So Savage Roar does stuff, but Force to Nature does nothing to this other than kills it. So yes, I like this card. Ice Howl. Now, a lot of people have given me this card crap. Is it like Pyroblasting a minion, but it's 9 mana. The thing you have to note about this is that if you're playing the value game, and this could even be a good solid arena card, because this card 99, I don't want to say 99, but I'm pretty sure like 99% of the time will often trade 2 for 1. Whether it's like you trade this into Ragnaros, your opponent as a mage, or I'm sorry, your opponent's a mage, you trade it into their like Ragnaros or something, they Frostbolt it. That's 2 for 1. You trade this into like their Dr. Boom. Well, it's not really 2 for 1 if the Boom bots end up killing this, so Dr. Boom OP. But yeah, I like this card just because it will 2 for 1 most of the time. And it's just a good minion. Like, it's a better deal than Pyroblast, unless you really want to hit their face with it, which most of the times you want to do. But I like it. I like it a lot. I don't mind that it can't attack heroes. Hell, the thing about it is that you could silence this and it could still attack heroes on the next turn, which is like a huge threat. Which is why your opponent like needs to deal with it. You know, whether even if it's like BGH or something, it's still 2 for 1. So I'm fine with that. Master Jouster. I like this card. I'm interested in the Joust mechanic. Unfortunately, not many cards are there to. How do I say this? Like, this is probably the best neutral card out of all the jousting ones, just because even if you don't win the joust, it's not that huge of a drawback. Like the horse is just a 5/3 for 4 mana, which is pretty bad. This is a 5/6 for 6, which is alright. It's one more than the Pit Fighter, which is the 5 mana 5/6. Just no text, 5 mana 5/6. So I like it. And if you win the joust, it's just the better Sunwalker. Well, not better, but because Priest can like Shadow or Death it, whereas they couldn't with Sunwalker. But it will still, again, it'll still trade into like Lothep, Emperor, all the annoying 5 or 6 drops that have like 5 health or something. It's a good card. I like this. Like, imagine Lord of the Arena, but the stats were flipped and it had Divine Shield. I would play that. Even as conditional. Building a deck around this isn't too bad either. This is great for aggro, and I don't know. Again, I think it's the best neutral minion in the game that uses the joust mechanic to the point where even if you lose the joust, it's not that horrible. So yay. Fetching Coach. Now, I don't know why I wish people would have voted for this card instead of the other one, because this is the type of card that will make Inspire decks work. You know, you play this, then you play like even like Kodo Rider could work well with this. You know, you play this like turn 5 along with like Hero Power, or I don't know, another 2-drop. Then on turn 6 you could go War Kodo into your Hero Power, and suddenly 2, 3, 5s for 6 mana isn't that bad. Like, you're getting 6/10 worth of stats for 6 mana, so I'd say that's pretty strong. It's more susceptible to AoE. I think there's some better examples like Nexus Champion Sarad. You know, you play this turn 3, maybe you get like Shredder turn 4, then you go turn 5 Nexus Champion Sarad. Pretty strong, I would say, pretty darn strong. It's also the next time you use your Hero Power, so you can like set it up a few turns ahead of time. You know, play it on curve, play a couple other minions until you get to like one that actually requires Inspire, and go from there. I like you. And speaking of Nexus Champion Sarad, this card is nuts. Like, what's interesting about this, a lot of people don't seem to know this, is that this actually only adds spells from your collection, not from the entire game like Unstable Portal does or something. I don't know why that decision is there, but this gives you somebody to control it. So, you know, unfortunately, if you're like a collector who wants to collect like every single card or even every single golden card, that's going to be actually bad for you if you want to play this. Because, you know, I mean, there are some pretty bad cards in the game, like, oh god, I wish Savagery wasn't a soulbound card. Like, I would disenchant the hell out of that. Well, I guess as a warrior, if you have a weapon, that's alright. I don't know. I like this card though. It is solid body too. 5/4/5 is just like the Master Jouster. A 6 mana 5/6. You're paying 1 more mana for the body, but the effect is really strong. I'm fine with that. Speaking of effects, Frost Shade. Now, this isn't another giant for Handlock, despite what everyone's saying, because Handlock really only uses their pure power maybe the first 3-4 turns, just to get their Molten Giant out, but then after that, they're just kind of trying to gain control of the board. So, a 6 mana 8/8 isn't that great for Handlock, and plus they're pretty clogged on Giants. Like, the thing about all the Giants that Handlock runs is that all the Giants have a way to come out earlier. Like, all the Giants they have can come out on turn 4, no problem. Like, Mountain Giant with the amount of cards that they have, Sea Giant if the opponents or you decide to spawn the board with minions, or even Multi-Giant if you're really losing aggro. Molten Sunfury Protector should stabilize you. I say should. But this is more of a slower type giant. And again, as the game progresses, you know, this card will have less and less value, so even if your opponent plays like BGH on it, not that you have a tempo swing, you know, you could play this with like Ragnaros turn 10, your opponent could BGH and Dr. Boom, and it's not really the end of the world. Because you still have, well, they'd probably BGH Rag to begin with, but I think that's besides the point. I like this card, it's very strong. Meh. Now on to, this is like the number 2 if you've been keeping track. Just a card, True Heart. Wow. The idea of this card is supposedly to, just like the Fenchicos, is supposed to make your hero power better. You know, if you want to play your hero for like tempo or something, this can help you a lot in like classes like Mage, Druids, what else? Not really Rogue, but you know, classes like those could get use out of this card, especially in the long game. Cards like Warrior and whatnot can definitely be used as a defensive tool to help turtle up to survive until the late game, which, I mean, as a Warrior, that's not that difficult to do, but it sure as hell is help. But I just like this card. Like, unfortunately, Warlocks and Rogues get the short end of the stick with the hero power not dealing damage, and the Rogue only giving the weapon +1 attack, which really isn't that great. I feel kind of bad for those two classes because those kind of got the short end of the stick with this expansion. Well, maybe not Rogue, because Rogue gets some pretty solid minions to mess with. Warlock has a whole bunch of neutral cards to mess with as well. Not so much class cards. Yeah, I like this card. I would use this in a control area deck. And finally, number 1. Oh my god, this is crazy. Like seriously, this is nuts. Like, if you went to a peanut factory, this would be like on the poster of every wall, because this card is nuts. Oh my god. Like, even if you don't get the effect, it's 10 mana, play a 7/7, draw 3 cards. I don't care if it's BDH, I drew 3 cards. Well, okay, maybe I care if it gets BGH'd and my opponent plays like Boom or something to follow it up, but this card is just so, like, the amount of value you could get is really good, and it's one of those RNG related cards that you can actually control to an extent. Like, it's not like Matter Bomber or Nexus Champion Sarad. Not that that's a bad card, or those are bad cards. But these are cards from your deck. This is something you have, like, it's not like, what is it, Avenging Wrath? The Paladin card that deals damage to a enemy based on the amount of mana cost it costs. Whatever that card is. Not Avenging Wrath, whatever. The point is, I like this card. Like, the amount of value this card gets, even more so than the Druid one, like Aviana. Yeah, you can kind of control it and kind of decide what happens, but it requires a lot of cards to set up. Like, you could play Aviana, and I guess when you compare that, do you want to say, like, Aviana, you get a smaller minion, but you have a little more, but you have control over what gets summoned, versus this guy, which you get a stronger minion, but you don't have really any control over what gets played. You only get to decide what could be played. I like this card. You know, dream scenario for a warrior would be like this into like Ysera, Ragnaros, and you could be flexible with a third one. Maybe like Sylvanas or Emperor or something. You know what the dream is? I kind of wanna have Emperor in the deck just so I can go this card and then like Brewmaster, because this will reduce this to 9. The Brewmaster will be 1. I'll just play this on the board, get like 2 or 3 minions, Brewmaster, and set it up again. It's just funny that way. Also, if Chromagus is on the board as well, every card you draw will get duplicated even if it's summoned. So if you draw like 3 spells, then you'll get 6 cards, but if you draw like 3 minions, then you'll still get 3 copies of the minions in hand, which is good because this battle cries don't trigger. So unfortunately, if you're running this in the deck, this is kind of the worst card. Like, I built a deck on Hearthstone. This is kind of the worst card in the deck to get from Rin, but I I mean, I'd probably complain because, you know, you're losing a ton of value out of it, but yeah. I'd probably put this in like more of a jousting deck. Like, if I wanted to build like a warrior deck based on the amount of themes that are coming in this expansion, there's basically two: jousting and hero power, or inspire, I guess you could say. I would probably, this would be like the center of my inspire deck, and this would be the center of my jousting deck. But I'd probably never put the two in the same deck just because they don't work that well together. I mean, this card kind of negates this card. This card is just kind of encourages you not to play this card because your hero power suddenly becomes a lot more valuable. So they kind of contradict each other. So maybe playing one or the other is good. But, and you know, this could go in like a standard control warrior deck. Well, not standard, but you could definitely do something with this. A lot of people, a lot of people aren't too happy about it just because of the battle cry thing, and like getting Grom out of it is bad. I mean, you can still set that up. You know, you have Death's Bite, or you have like an Inner Rage in your hand, and you obviously play this. See if you get Grom. If you do, you punch 14 to the face. If not, oh well. And even some cards that don't get their battle cries affected, like Alexstrasza and Nefarian. I'm fine with that over taking the 8/8. I mean, chances are they're probably going to BGH the 8/8 over this. Like, because, you know, it's a bigger body, so why would you? Oh, God. Oh, I want to play this with Brewmasters. Like, this, oh, jeez. If on this channel comes, like, just a compilation of, like, this plus Brewmaster and just getting ridiculous value, oh, it's going to be so funny. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. I really like this expansion. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. I think that you're going to see a bunch of new decks archetype. You're going to see a lot of older decks get a bit more refined, like the dragon ones, for example. Dragon Priest could be a thing. That 2-mana 1/4 that could be a 2/4 with Taunt is pretty good for Priest. So, but in terms of what I actually try out, like, most of this is going to come from packs. I do have 3,000 dust saved. Most of that is from like a golden millhouse that I got the other day. Oh jeez. But yeah, if there's any two legendaries that I'm gonna craft that I'm not getting from packs, it's gonna be these two. Like, no questions asked. These two are getting crafted. And everything else I'm just kind of hoping out packs. This will be like a good third. Geomon is kind of meh. I'd probably choose Icel over Chill. I don't know. It's hard to say. Oh jeez. Whoops. Too far. Okay. Anyways, that's all for now. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I'm looking forward to this expansion. It looks promising. End stream.